Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. Today, I'm going to walk you through exporting payments over to QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online. So to start, if you're not familiar with our payment process, LMN recently launched a payment portal, a customer portal, if you will. I'll start by showing you around how to set up the customer portal, and then we'll dive into the payments. So having a look at my LMN account, I'm just going to ask my colleague there to switch it over to my screen. Perfect. So we'll start with the LMN account. We've logged in now. I'm looking at account. I go to portal setup. This is where you can set up your portal as well as enable payments so your customers are able to pay online. Once you have that set up under your account and you've entered your merchant ID, then you're going to go ahead and you're going to invite your customers to join the portal. Upon inviting your customers to join the portal, you can change your defaults. So if you decide you want to show customers more or less than what you have in your defaults set up under your account, you're able to make those adjustments. To invite a customer to the portal, you're simply just going to click Send Customer Invite. On the right, this tab, Portal Users, is the users that have access to the portal. So users that have access to view job site information, in addition, pay invoices online through the portal. To give you kind of a brief look of what it looks like from the customer side, I have my portal open here. And I'm just showing you what it looks like from the customer side when they log into the portal. So they're able to see job site activity, all their job sites pinpointed on a map. In addition, they can see any visit details. They can also see if you've scheduled your work, what the crew schedule is. You have options to just look at the dashboard if you want to see the latest visits, as well as add users, adjust your profile, and of course, pay invoices. Next, I'm going to show you our new LMN sync tool for desktop. So I'm going to pull that over to this screen. If you haven't downloaded our sync tool already, you can go ahead and do so. You'll be prompted with an update. You don't necessarily need to go ahead and update it right away. I wouldn't recommend doing it if you have your QuickBooks on a server, and it might take a few days for your server company to install the update. What I would suggest in that case is that you can send that file to your server company or your IT department and continue using the existing sync tool. But when you are ready to install that update, you'll see that the look of the sync tool has changed. This is our sync tool here. And now we have published payments. So I wanted to go through and just go through a couple of the settings for payments in order for you to be able to publish your payments over to QuickBooks Desktop. So I'm going to start by going to the settings menu. Oh, my apologies. And we have our settings listed out in these steps here. You'll notice that the second last step, payment methods, is new. This is where I'm going to add my payment methods. So because I wanted to get this set up for the demo today, mine are matched. I'll just show you what that match looks like. So the first one is match cost codes. I'm just going to run through these steps. Are you finished? Yes, I am. Next is classes. You only need to match classes if you have classes enabled in your QuickBooks. Now we got our employees for payroll. Only need to match if you do payroll in QuickBooks. We got our pay codes. Again, only necessary if you do payroll in QuickBooks. And now this new menu, which is our payment methods. So in LMN, I'll show you in just a moment where you set up these payment methods in LMN time. And then in the QuickBooks Sync tool, this is where you're gonna go ahead and match those payment methods. So to match, it's really simple. You're just gonna go ahead and drag and drop. In addition, there's one last step where you're going to choose which accounts these payments are going to go into. So your default QuickBooks deposit account as well as your AR account. Once these steps are complete, you're going to hit next. Okay. I'm going to open my Element account, which is connected to this QuickBooks Sync tool, and I'll show you where you're going to set up those payment settings. I just wanted to remind everyone, I neglected to mention it at the start of this call, but feel free to ask any questions as you have them throughout the webinar. We will have time for Q&A at the end. Just feel free to use the questions box that's located within the GoToWebinar meeting link. Now we're looking at LMN time. When I have a look here, I'm going to go to my settings. I'm going to set up the payment settings. These are the payment settings that we just saw when we were looking at the payment settings in the LMN QuickBooks Sync tool. So under the settings gear icon, I've scrolled down to Invoice, Payment Settings, and I'm just going to, I can add another one by going up to the top right or review the existing ones. So to add a payment setting, click plus new and American Express. Once added, that will be available to match to your QuickBooks item in the Sync tool. Next, I'm going to have a look at my invoices. It's important to mention that you will get an error if you're trying to export a payment to QuickBooks if there's not already an invoice existing for that payment in QuickBooks. I'm going to show you a couple examples of invoices to go over to QuickBooks. In my Sync tool, you'll probably see a few that might give us an error. I'm going to go to Invoice Run. I'll have a look at my invoice here. So Amanda Pearson, I'm going to set this invoice to approved. There's a few steps when approving invoices to go over to QuickBooks. We're not just going to send it over immediately without you having a look and reviewing it to make sure it's all correct. You can do these actions in bulk. I'm just showing you on an individual invoice. So once I've set it to approved, the next status is to set it to export to QuickBooks. Now that I've done that, it's queued and it's ready to go. So when I open my Sync tool, I'll be able to see that I have this invoice there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my Sync tool. And I'm going to go to the Publish side of the Sync tool and Publish Invoices. Once I've done that, you can see that I have a whole bunch of invoices that are ready to go over to QuickBooks. I just want to highlight a couple items in this menu. So this customer, it's really the same customer. I have a bunch of invoices for her. This icon here means that it's matched to the customer in QuickBooks, and then this icon here means that it's matched to the a job site in QuickBooks. For whatever reason, if these are ever incorrect or you wanted to break or change the match, you can do so by just editing the match here. So when you click that menu, you're able to select a different selection. So you can choose a different customer. When I'm ready to send the invoices over, this looks good to me, I'm going to click Sync Now. There were errors importing 4 invoices. Well, that's not what you want to see. Let me try another run. I'm going to go with this one. Publish. Invoice. All right, let's find out what happened with those invoices. Just going to grab the error log. If you've ever come across this, and I'm sure you have, you've probably sent in your error log over to the team at LMN. I'm going to find out what's wrong with these invoices and then either make a correction or I'll choose a different batch. So classic. It says that it's set to be email. The email address specified for this company is invalid and the transaction is marked to be emailed. So let me go ahead and see if I can make a quick correction to adjust that. And if not, I'm just going to choose a different invoice. Okay. So I'll go over to LMN Home. I'm going to update the email on file. For Miss Amanda Pearson. All right, so I'm going to put in my work email. That way we shouldn't get an error. And I'm going to update the name here. Pearson Amanda. Save. Alrighty, and let's try this again. Well, what now? When email address. Okay. Pardon me for a moment. Before I try a different invoice, I'm just going to actually go to the customer and see if I can turn off that setting. Okay, so in QuickBooks, this should do the trick. We'll find out in a moment. I have the setting selected for this customer. So their preferred delivery method is email. I'm going to switch it to none. Fingers crossed. On this live demo, hopefully this will do the trick. And let's do it again. Before I do so, I'm going to actually just requeue my invoices. And I probably don't need to do that, but in the offset that I do, I just want to make sure that that's done. All right, go to element time. Amanda, Amanda, Amanda. Okay. Change status. Okay, so I'm going to set the status to export to QuickBooks. I'm going to bring over my sync tool. And then I'm going to publish invoices. I've turned off that setting in QuickBooks. I've added an email to Element Time. We're good. I'm going to send this over. Come on. Oh, this is better. Whew. I was about to call Element Support for some assistance there. Okay, now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hit close. Now I know how you customers feel when you're trying to send something over and it doesn't go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and my invoices for that customer are in QuickBooks. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a payment. So the customer will pay online. You need to manually add that payment and send it over to QuickBooks. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to enter a cash payment. Let me just refresh my browser. Going to grab just one invoice for this example. And I'm going to enter a payment of cash. And the reason I'm doing that is because this is a test account. I don't actually have a merchant ID, if you will. So add payment. And I've done this from the invoice list. I'm going to select my payment method, which is going to be cash. Add invoice payment. And then enter what that amount is. So $6,000. And I'm going to click Export to QuickBooks, Save and Close, and Close. I'm also going to grab this customer as well, who is one of our Amanda Pearsons, and I'm going to add a payment for them as well. So add payment, select my payment method first, hit cash, and then enter the amount, export to QuickBooks, yes, and hit Save and Close. Now I'm going to open my LMN sync tool and hit Publish Payments. You can see that I have my two payments that I just marked that they had been paid by cash, ready to go. So I'm going to hit Sync Now. Synchronization was completed, but one of your payments could not be exported. All right, let's find out this one. Oh, I had already exported that payment earlier. Makes sense. We don't want the customer to double pay. So once those payments have gone across, they'll be sitting in QuickBooks. Your invoice will be marked as paid. And you are good to go. That's all you need to do. So in LMN, you're going to work the job. When the job's ready to be invoiced, generate the invoice, approve it, send it to the portal, queue it for export to QuickBooks, and then when you have that payment, you're going to export it to QuickBooks. So that's where that's the process. That's the workflow in order to get your information over to QB. I'm just going to pause for a few moments and see if we have any questions from the audience regarding QuickBooks Desktop before we have a quick demo of QuickBooks Online. Again, if you have any questions, feel free just to ask them in the questions box located in the GoToWebinar meeting window. Okay, I have one question that came in asking what credit card processor that we use. We at this time, we use Card Connect. So if you're interested in learning more about Card Connect, you're able to contact them through LMN account, portal setup, and then there's a link there to connect with Card Connect where you can fill out an application or speak to someone at the Card Connect team. If you have any suggestions of other payment processors for LMN to consider, I would encourage you to send them in to our support desk, support@golmn.com, and just let us know which other payment processors you're using, and we'll get it on our dev list to consider. Okay, I got another question. Does a customer need to pay in full or can they pay a partial invoice? Great question. So the they can actually pay just a partial invoice. So if the total was $6,000, they could just pay $4,000. LMN would keep that remaining $2,000 as showing as not paid until the customer has paid that portion as well. And I have a user asking, do we have any resources for payments? And where can I find more information? So I'm just going to actually show you where some of those resources are. At the end of this presentation, you'll see on the last slide a mention of the Academy Online. I'll just show you right here. We have our Academy Online where you can walk through exactly how to set up payments, everything that you're looking for in regards to payments. I'll just log in and show you some of those menus. In addition, we do have our help desk, which both are available within your LMN account. Under the bottom left menu, there's the help desk as well as the LMN Academy. So if you're looking for information about invoicing or the customer portal, you'll find information in regards to payments in either of those learning courses, in addition to QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop. So we'll just resume. I just have a quick, brief presentation for QuickBooks Online. I'm going to log out of my LMN account and log into my QuickBooks LMN account. So pardon me for a moment while I do that. All right, so it is the exact same process, just the menu options look a little bit different for QuickBooks Online. So again, you're going to run the invoice, approve it, publish it to the portal, receive the payment, note the payment, export it to QuickBooks. I'm going to show you the QuickBooks Online accounting menu because it looks a little bit different. It also got a facelift in our last update. It now has the payment settings as well. So you can access the QuickBooks Online menu from QuickBooks and then click on QuickBooks Online. When clicking on QuickBooks Online, you're going to access the payment portal, or sorry, the LMN QuickBooks Sync using your LMN credentials. So we're connecting your LMN account to the sync tool, and then you're going to, of course, connect your QuickBooks account to the sync tool. When you are done all the setup, so in order to receive payments, you have to ensure that you've gone through all the setup, and you're going to publish your invoices following the Publish Invoices tab. Send those over to QuickBooks. And then when you are ready to publish payments, you're going to go to the Publish Payments tab. I wanted to mention as well that the payment settings that we looked at with desktop, we were matching your LMN payments with your QuickBooks payments, are set up in online as well under the settings menu. If your invoices are showing up like this in red, it means that QuickBooks doesn't have, as I mentioned earlier in this webinar, QuickBooks doesn't have an invoice for these payments. So it's giving you an error message saying we can't accept payment because we don't have anything to tie it to. So if you get an error like this, just ensure that you circle back to make sure that that invoice has gone over to QuickBooks. So then you can attach your payment to it. That concludes my presentation today. Really wanted to just show you QuickBooks Desktop, exporting those payments. We got into a couple errors there. I wanted to just highlight that those errors, if you run into an issue with them at all, feel free just to shoot them over to the support team. We're usually able to troubleshoot fairly swiftly. QuickBooks Online, you have the same functionality in terms of the payments. Wanted to highlight the sync tool there and any changes that have occurred with the sync tool. As I'm going through these last slides, if you do have a question, feel free to ask it in the questions box. I will get to it before I end the webinar. While we're seeing if any questions come in, wanted to remind you all that with your LMN paid subscription, you do have access to our forms library, which contains over 700 forms and processes available for a free download. In addition to the forms library, LMN has our user groups, which are quite popular, especially the Facebook one. They're excellent to work with other users of LMN to learn how they're navigating through the software, as well as for peer networking. And then lastly, we have our software skills. So we have the LMN Academy, which is now available 5 days a week online. Feel free to join us. My colleague Chris has been hosting the past few academies. He's had some really good turnouts, really great questions. Get all your questions answered. They are scheduled on a specific topic each day. Please join us. You can register them through your LMN account. golmn.com/webinars. In addition to the Academy online training, you always have one-on-one support from the team here at LMN. Every account is assigned an account rep. I've probably worked with some of you over the past few years if you've been subscribed with LMN. Wanted to encourage you to reach out to your account rep, book with us. We can always do an account review or focus specifically on payments if that's what you're looking to develop knowledge on. Our workshops have gone virtual. You can click on golmn.com/webinars. If you're a new customer to LMN or are currently not subscribed with LMN, want to learn more about what our software has to offer, please join us for our LMN workshops. And then lastly, these LMN free webinars. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. I hope you found it helpful to go through the QuickBooks export of payments. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the team. I don't have any questions that have come in, so I'm going to conclude this webinar, and I hope you all have a great day.